Hey Mom, surprise! Okay, so Walter helped me to figure out how to do a video so that I can read a book so that we can talk about it later. So, I know you wanted to do this one, Becoming from Michelle Obama. So I'm going to start reading it and then we can talk about it later. So this way you can have it on video and you can look at it anytime you want and go back over it and look at your copy or whatever, and then we can talk about it later. So I'm going to start with the preface in the very beginning and then we can go from there. So let's see if I can see in this light. Here we go. So this is from March 2017. When I was a kid, my aspirations were simple. I wanted a dog. I wanted a house that had stairs in it, 2 floors for one family. I wanted, for some reason, a 4-door station wagon instead of the 2-door Buick that was my father's pride and joy. I used to tell people that when I grew up, I was going to be a pediatrician. Why? Because I loved being around little kids, and I quickly learned that it was a pleasing answer for adults to hear. Oh, a doctor! What a good choice! In those days, I wore pigtails and bossed my older brother around and managed always and no matter what to get A's at school. I was ambitious, though I didn't know exactly what I was shooting for. Now I think it's one of the most useless questions an adult can ask a child. What do you want to be when you grow up? As if growing up is finite, as if at some point you become something and that's the end. So far in my life, I've been a lawyer, I've been a vice president at a hospital, and the director of a nonprofit that helps young people build meaningful careers. I've been a working class black student at a fancy, mostly white college. I've been the only woman, the only African American in all sorts of rooms. I've been a bride, a stressed out new mother, a daughter torn up by grief, and until recently, I was the First Lady of the United States of America, a job that's not officially a job, but that somehow has given me a platform like nothing I could have ever imagined. It challenged me and humbled me, lifted me up and shrank me down, sometimes all at once. I'm just beginning to process what took place over these last years, from the moment in 2006 when my husband first started talking about running for president to the cold morning this winter when I climbed into a limo with Melania Trump, accompanying her to her husband's inauguration. It's been quite a ride. When you're First Lady, America shows itself to you in all its extremes. I've been to fundraisers in private homes that look more like art museums, houses where people own bathtubs made from gemstones. I've visited families who lost everything in Hurricane Katrina and were tearful and grateful just to have a working refrigerator and stove. I've encountered people I find to be shallow and hypocritical, and others, teachers and military spouses and so many more, whose spirits are so deep and strong it's astonishing. And I've met kids, lots of them, all over the world, who crack me up and fill me with hope, and who blessedly manage to forget about my title once we start rooting around in the dirt of a garden. Since stepping reluctantly into public life, I've been held up as the most powerful woman in the world and taken down as a, quote, angry black woman. I've wanted to ask my detractors which part of that phrase mattered to them the most. Is it angry or black or woman? I've smiled for photos with people who call my husband horrible names on national television, but still want a framed keepsake for their mantle. I've heard about the swampy parts of the internet that question everything about me, right down to whether I was a woman or a man. Did you ever hear? I never heard that. A sitting U.S. congressman has made fun of my butt. What is wrong with people? I've been hurt, I've been furious, but mostly I've tried to laugh this stuff off. He's a better person than I am. There's a lot I still don't know about America, about life, about what the future might bring. But I do know myself. My father, Fraser, taught me to work hard, laugh often, and to keep my word. My mother, Marion, showed me how to think for myself and to use my voice. Together in our cramped apartment on the south side of Chicago, She helped me to see the value in our story, in my story, in the larger story of our country, even when it's not pretty or perfect, even when it's more real than you want it to be. Your story is what you have, what you will always have. It is something to own. For 8 years, I lived in the White House, a place with more stairs than I can count, plus elevators, a bowling alley, and an in-house florist. Yeah, because that's what you need. I slept in a bed that was made up with Italian linens. Our meals were cooked by a team of world-class chefs and delivered by professionals more highly trained than those at any five-star restaurant or hotel. Secret Service agents with their earpieces and guns and deliberately flat expressions, okay, might need a better light, stood outside our doors, doing the best to stay out of our family's private life. We got used to it, eventually, sort of, the strange grandeur of our new home and also the constant quiet presence of others. The White House is where our two girls played ball in the hallways and climbed trees on the south lawn. It's where Barack sat up late at night, poring over briefings and drafts of speeches in the treaty room, and where Sunny, one of our dogs, sometimes pooped on the rug. I don't know if that needed to be in here. I could stand on the Truman balcony and watch the tourists posing with their selfie sticks and peering through the iron fence, trying to guess at what went on inside. There were days when I felt suffocated by the fact that our windows had to be kept shut for security, that I couldn't get some fresh air without causing a fuss. There were other times when I'd be awestruck by the white magnolias blooming outside, the everyday bustle of government business, the majesty of a military welcome. There were days, weeks, and months when I hated politics, and there were moments when the beauty of this country and its people so overwhelmed me I couldn't speak. Then it was over. Even if you see it coming, even as your final weeks are filled with emotional goodbyes, the day itself, it's still a blur. A hand goes on a Bible, an oath gets repeated, one president's furniture gets carried out while another's comes in. Closets are emptied and refilled in the span of a few hours, and just like that, there are new heads on new pillows, new temperaments, new dreams. And when it ends, when you walk out the door the last time from the world's most famous address, you're left in many ways to find yourself again. So let me start here with a small thing that happened not long ago. I was at home in the red brick house that my family recently moved into. Our new house sits about 2 miles from our old house on a quiet neighborhood street. We're still settling in the family room. Our furniture is arranged the same way it was in the White House. We've got mementos around the house that remind us it was all real. Photos of our family time at Camp David, handmade pots given to me by Native American students, a book signed by Nelson Mandela. What was strange about this night was that everyone was gone. Barack was traveling, Sasha was out with her friends, Malia's been living and working in New York, finishing out her gap year before college. It was just me, our 2 dogs, and a silent, empty house like I haven't known in 8 years. And I was hungry. I walked down the stairs from our bedroom with the dogs following on my heels. In the kitchen, I opened the fridge. I found a loaf of bread, took out 2 pieces, and had them in the toaster oven. And laid them in the toaster oven. I opened a cabinet and got out a plate. I know it's a weird thing to say, but to take a plate from a shelf in the kitchen without someone first insisting that they get it for me, to stand by myself watching bread turn brown in the toaster, feels as close to a return to my old life as I've come. Or maybe it's my new life just beginning to announce itself. In the end, I didn't just make toast. I made cheese toast, moving my slice of bread to the microwave and melting a fat mess of gooey cheddar between them. I then carried my plate outside to the backyard. I didn't have to tell anyone I was going, I just went. I was in bare feet, wearing a pair of shorts. The chill of winter had finally lifted. The crocuses were just starting to push up through the beds along the back wall. The air smelled like spring. I sat on the steps of our veranda, feeling the warmth of the day's sun until sun still caught in the slate beneath my feet. A dog started barking somewhere in the distance, and my own dogs paused to listen, seeming momentarily confused. It occurred to me that it was a jarring sound for them, given that we didn't have neighbors, let alone neighbor dogs, at the White House. For them, all of this was new. As the dogs loped off to explore the perimeter of the yard, I ate my toast in the dark, feeling alone in the best possible way. My mind wasn't on the group of guards with guns sitting less than 100 yards away at the bottom at the custom-built command post inside our garage, or the fact that I still can't walk down a street without a security detail. I wasn't thinking about the new president, or for that matter, the old president either. I was thinking instead about how in a few minutes I would go back inside my house, wash my plate in the sink, and head up to bed, maybe opening a window so I could feel the spring air. How glorious would that be? I was thinking, too, that the stillness was affording me a real first opportunity to reflect. As First Lady, I'd get to the end of a busy week and need to be reminded how it had started. But time is beginning to feel different. My girls, who arrived at the White House with their Polly Pockets, a blanket named Blanky, and a stuffed tiger named Tiger, were now teenagers, young women with plans and voices of their own. My husband is making his own adjustments to life after the White House, catching his own breath. And here I am in this new place with a lot I want to say. So that's the preface of Becoming. So, wow, that was quick. So I'll keep reading, and I want to send you a couple, maybe 2 chapters at a time, and then you can go over them and see what you think, and we can talk about them and see what you found out or what you learned or what you liked about it. So that's the first one. So let me cut this one and do another one and cut that for later. Okay, bye-bye.